Milwaukee Bucks have traded Greg Monroe and some picks in exchange for Eric Bledsoe. Now, this trade really goes well for the Milwaukee Bucks. It gives them a true point guard instead of having Malcolm Brogdon play the point guard. Malcolm Brogdon essentially really is a shooting guard, but it gives the Milwaukee Bucks a true point guard with experience that could dictate the offense, that could penetrate and open up lanes for shooters, which is Malcolm Brogdon, Tony Snell, and Chris Middleton. So that's wonderful. It gives them a good, solid veteran leadership. That one in itself is awesome as well. One of the things that I draw a little trepidation when it comes to Eric Bledsoe playing on the Milwaukee Bucks is what is his level of commitment. I understand everything happened in Phoenix the way it did, but that also reflects on his character. So are we going to get the Eric Bledsoe of the Clippers, that we used to know, the guy, in Phoenix where they had the three-headed point guard lineup? Are we going to get that kind of Eric Bledsoe engaged, committed, or are we going to get the Eric Bledsoe who just doesn't want to be here? So that's something that the Milwaukee Bucks have to really think about. It's cold in Milwaukee, number one. Number two, sometimes might not be a lot to do. So if they lose or continue to lose games, how is that going to impact his psyche on the court, or is he going to want to request another trade? Because when players do these certain things the way that they do them, when they're not straight up about their intent, then you're in a whole lot of trouble in terms of trying to rest your franchise's future on them, because you don't know what's going to happen going forward. That being said, he doesn't solve one of the key problems in Milwaukee, which is their three-point shooting. Eric Bledsoe shot like 34% last year, and he's a career 30% three-point shooter. So the Milwaukee Bucks are still going to struggle from the three, and that's sad because you have Giannis Antetokounmpo. I hope I said that right. He can penetrate the lane. He can do what he has to do. He could hit the mid-range. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but you need to surround a guy like that that's that dynamic. Drop 40 on the Cavs in a loss. You need to have a guy that's that dynamic, be surrounded by shooters. They have Middleton, they have Tony Snell, but I think Middleton, he comes off the bench, and I think Snell starts over him. So that's something that they have to explore, because Tony Snell is another ball handler, a guy that can make plays. I know a kid might want him to come off the bench, but you have to make a decision and say, look, we're not going to play this style. If we can't have playmakers around Giannis, then we need to figure something out, because Giannis is that special of a guy on the court where he garners attention of most teams, double teams. So you need to have him around shooters, and when they're shooters, you don't want to leave them open. So Eric Bledsoe is not that shooter. If they had a point guard that could shoot the basketball extremely well, then you would be like, okay, now they're in business. Now they're ready to go. Now it's time, now it's time for whatever. But I don't see that in Eric Bledsoe. So one thing that's going to improve with them is their defense. Their defense is really bad. They've been giving up hundreds of points. So that's going to shore up. He's going to be a really good defender, high energy guy. But I don't think this pushes them past the Cavs. I think this makes them they're already a lock to be, top 5 teams in the East, top 4. Now they're definitely a lock to be top 1 through 4 or top 1 through 3 if you really want to get technical, because they have the talent. Now they just have to figure out how to win games, how to keep their poise, how to make the right decisions, and how to get Giannis the ball in places where it's easier for him to score. Because a lot of his shots that he does take, he's going like 1-on-5 a whole lot. So we need to get him easier shots and need to free up other shots. And the best part about this trade is Brogdon plays the 2 now. You have 2 lockdown defenders in Bledsoe and Brogdon, who could basically lock up your point guard and your shooting guard, or make it difficult for them. Giannis can play the 3 or the 4, so they have a lot of versatility there. Now it's all about the X's and O's. So let's see how that goes. And I'm really curious to see how this Milwaukee Bucks turns this corner here, because right now they're 4-6. So they've been playing all right, but not really that good basketball. So let's see what happens. Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Milwaukee Bucks. They beat them 124 to 119. And everybody's wondering, have the Cavs turned the corner? Have they found something? You know, all the teams that they're supposed to beat, you know, they don't beat them, but the teams that are high level competition, the ones that quote unquote want to take them out, Wizards, Bucks, they've beaten them. So should we feel good about what we're seeing now, or should we just, you know, worry? Is there some kind of combination of the two, or is it one or the other? I think there's a combination. One of the things I don't like about Cleveland, they're still allowing teams to score over 110 points. And when you go to the playoffs, Cleveland will not be able to keep up that high pace. LeBron James is not going to be able to play every single game, 48 minutes. He could do that in the finals. The games are stretched out more. They usually have a break because he sweeps through the East. But if they keep giving up 100 and something points to every single team that they play, it's going to be tough for them in the playoffs. And that's not going to bode well for what the Cavs are trying to do, which is get back to the finals. Even if they get back to the finals, if they're still giving up 100 some points a game, that puts a lot of pressure on their offense to score 100 plus points a game. Last night you got contributions from Love, JR, Dwayne Wade. Everybody was contributing, but how many times are you going to get 30 points from Kevin Love on a given night? You know, how many times can we count on that? How many times can we count on JR to be consistent with his shooting? He's very sporadic. So the Cavs are putting a lot more pressure on their offense now due to the fact that they're just basically taking their time with defense. They're like, whatever, we'll play it when we get ready. But they're formulating bad habits, and that's the part where you worry about, because all these bad habits now, they're not hurting you now. You know, you're 5-6, you're almost 500. You know, besides perception, nothing is really hurting you. When you get to the playoffs, when you get to the finals, and you get exposed, and you get beat in 5 games, all the things that you were doing during the regular season, now they come back to bite you. And the Cavs are counting their eggs before they hatch. They keep mentioning it. We're waiting for Isaiah Thomas to come. You know, he's going to be a great player. And I'm looking at the comparison of Kyrie Irving and Isaiah Thomas side by side. And they essentially shot about the same amount, attempted the same amount of field goals. But when you look at, for example, Cavs have they used to be a high 3-point shooting team. Isaiah Thomas is not a great 3-point shooter. I mean, he's respectable, 37%, but Kyrie was 40%. When you look at the rebounding, Kyrie edged them out, 3.2 rebounds per game. And that was Kyrie, you know, people say he couldn't do anything but score. You know, another thing that Kyrie's defense was better than Isaiah Thomas last year. He had more steals. He averaged a smidge over a block, like 0.1% more blocks, but that smidge made a difference. Now you're going to bring in Isaiah Thomas. You're expecting him to give you what he gave last year to the Celtics, 28 points per game. It doesn't work like that. One season you might average 30. The next season you might not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just solely say, okay, he's going to average this, that, and the third. It doesn't work like that. He has a hip injury. He's still recovering. And we don't know what he's going to be or how he's going to play. So there's no way to quantify exactly what you're going to get from him. Kyrie Irving, we already see what we're getting from him. Celtics are like 9-2. They won 9 in a row. And you see what they're getting from him. Isaiah Thomas is still coming off an injury, so we don't know. And even if he wasn't injured, let's just say he was healthy, you still have to deal with his volume shooting. Because Kyrie was a volume shooter as well, but Kyrie overall hit a better percentage. And Kyrie Irving made tougher shots than Isaiah Thomas can because of Isaiah Thomas's size. Now, not saying that size matters or whatever, but just a couple more inches, it gives Kyrie a better handle of a situation that he's going through. If you watch Isaiah Thomas play in the Celtics series, and all through the playoffs, it was pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll. And yes, that's going to give LeBron James a new ball handler on the court, but it's not Kyrie Irving. It's sort of like saying, like, okay, you know, this team adds a shooter to their roster, and now it's time for us to compete with Golden State. Clear example, Ian Clark goes to the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans are like, okay, we got Ian Clark, we got somebody to help spread the floor. But that's not Curry. that's not Clay. So like Isaiah Thomas is great in one regard, but he's not Kyrie in terms of the speciality of scoring the basketball. And then you couple that with the fact that now Kyrie Irving has showed you he can be a leader on the team. Now it's like, like did we make a mistake? Did we do something wrong? So with the Cavs, they're still an enigma. You know, LeBron James thrives in chaos with all this Instagram stuff. I don't even want to get into that. That's not even irrelevant. Like today, there's too much being put into what people do on Instagram and what they say on social media instead of just looking at the results on the court. And that's what's missing. We're missing the fact that the Cavs are just allowing teams to score too much. And now people think like, okay, they'll be able to turn it on, put the clamps. This is 8. I think there's 7 new guys on the roster. Smith, Derrick Rose, Green, Wade, Thomas, Crowder. There are 6 to 7 new guys on this roster. You can't put the clamps on anybody until you guys figure out how to play regular defense just together. So this is a good time for the Cavs because they can experiment. They can make all the mistakes now because when it gets to the playoffs, they have to build those habits to make it where their team has a cohesive unit. But in terms of this wait on Isaiah Thomas to be the savior, it can't work like that. They can't count their eggs before they hatch, count their chickens before they hatch or whatever. They have to see what's going on right now and solve the issues going on right now. And as far as the whole Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas comparison, last year if you would have told me Kyrie Irving could be a leader of a team, I might kind of like, he's not that great, or LeBron's making him great. When Kyrie's doing this season, he's doing this. Who's laughing now? This is Vlad Hoops Junction where Hoops meets Hoopla. Peace.